Hi, I'm Nick Pawson. You're watching News 24 Live. This weekend, the Springboks play the return clash against the Wallabies after going down narrowly to them in Perth. I'm joined in studio by Sport 24 editor Garen Namney and chief writer Rob Howing to discuss this weekend's sports fixtures. Gents, welcome.
How you doing, Nick?
Hello, Nick.
Welcome back, Rob. I'm going to start with you. The Australian side's just been announced. What do you make of some of the changes Ian McKenzie's made?
Yeah, it certainly looks like a team that's made for an up-tempo sort of game. I think the whole theme of this match, the way Heineke May was talking this week as well, suggesting that if the conditions are dry, and by all accounts it's looking quite promising with a southeasterly flow rather than the old northwester we've had for a couple of days, so that generally points to a dry day, if perhaps a little bit windy, I'm not sure, but I think we'll finally get a dry game, and with guys like Joe Tamani in the side, Kurudrani at outside centre for the Wallabies, they're going to be as attack-minded as the Springboks apparently are going to be. I wonder if there's a little bit of a sort of a Heineke May playing a little bit of a sort of a silly buggers game by sort of stressing how the Springboks are going to be running the ball and doing this and doing that, and maybe there'll be a little bit more of a kind of at times they might just want to take the pace out of things a little bit, size up opportunities. I'm not certain it'll be an absolutely helter-skelter sort of game. I really don't see it being like a sort of a 40-30 or something like that, as you almost we're being dragged into believing it might be. I still think sort of old attritional test match values will come into play, but I'm certainly hoping that we're going to get a cracker of a game at Newlands.
Garen, Australia have had a real mixed bag of results this rugby championship. Have we seen the real Wallaby side play yet? And I mean, they don't have a great record at Newlands either.
No, they've got a poor record down in Cape Town, and yeah, I've been a little bit disappointed by the Wallabies in this tournament. I really thought they'd build on their Super Rugby success with the Waratahs and be better than they have been in previous years. I mean, having said that, there's still a chance that they can win the tournament and they can come second even. But on paper, like you said, they had a few walloping by the All Blacks in the one match in New Zealand. They've still got to go to Argentina, and they might struggle there. I think, especially up front, they certainly will. It'll all depend, I think, obviously, what happens on Saturday down in Cape Town. As Rob said, we're hoping for dry weather. It's going to be pretty cold and windy. I'm not too sure who that support favours, but both teams will hopefully try and score the 4 tries. They're going to need that extra bonus point to have any sort of real shout at the title overall. So, hopefully it is a bit of a throw the ball around. And I think with Joe Tamani's got a lot of speed out wide. Kurudrani's a huge centre, big, strong, powerful in the midfield. So, the back line, I almost think that the Wallabies might shade the Springboks. I think the Springboks are going to have a bigger advantage up front, and I think that's where the game's going to be won and lost at the end of the day. Even though, we've got Pollard at fly more attacking than Mornay's staying, I think, we're going to default back to what we know best and keep it up front, sort of tire out the poor Wallabies, and then perhaps try and spread the ball wide in the second half. But I'm really excited, heading into this match. It's good to have rugby back in Cape Town. And yeah, hopefully, it isn't a 40-30 scoreline, but a good solid 5-point victory for the Springboks.
Rob, just touch on some of the changes Heineke May has made to the Springbok side. There's been a lot of talk about Teboho, perhaps not ready for a start in a test match. What do you think of the changes he's made?
Yeah, look, he's certainly waited in line this season. He's certainly been part of the squad mix for some time, so he certainly has familiarised himself with the culture. We shouldn't expect major things from him, given that he hasn't even played an awful lot of Super Rugby. In fact, I think at one of the press conferences this week it was mentioned that he hadn't even played an away game or a game in Australasia in Super Rugby. So in some ways that may not be a bad thing, because it almost makes him a little bit of a mystery factor to the Aussies. The one big thing he has in his favour is incredible pace for a big man. We've seen that before in a couple of Super Rugby little cameos involving the Cheetahs, despite the problems that they had in Super Rugby this year. And he's a fantastic line-out forward. I mean, I remember noting from a very early stage when I first saw him playing for the Cheetahs this season that he looked like a really, really assertive line-out forward at the back of the line-out. So he does give the Boks extra options there, even if they may not necessarily be needing too many extra options. We've got some very good line-out options already. But I hope he does get a chance to show off his line-out skills. Very much a sort of a classical blindsider. I don't think we'll see him sort of crouching down trying to effect steals and so on. I think that'll be more the job of Dwayne Vermeulen and Marcel Coetzee. But a new face is always nice to see in the ranks. He's a young guy. He brings some fresh possibilities to the mix, and I'm still a little bit critical about Willem Alberts. I still think that he's a great sort of horse for Northern Hemisphere courses, if you like, on heavy, wet, sort of unyielding northern climb surfaces where test matches tend to be a little bit slower, more physical, more rugged. When games are a little bit more open, maybe somebody like Mohoje could come into his own a little bit. So I'm looking forward to seeing his run out.
Okay. Prediction from the both of you?
You go first, Rob.
Sure. Look, last year it was 28-8, and the Boks just failed to get the 4-try bonus point. They'll be desperately trying to get the full house, as Garen said, this time. So let's go Springboks something like 33-24, something along those lines.
Very similar from my side. I think the margin of victory for the Springboks is going to be sort of that 8 to 10 point range. I think they'll deny the Wallabies a losing bonus point. I'm not 100% sure they're going to score 4 tries of their own. Obviously, the Wallabies will be out to stop the Springboks from doing that. But I'm going to go for a Springbok victory, 25-17.